Hello again, beautiful souls, and welcome to Surviving to Thriving, where we address how to move from struggle and just seemingly barely surviving in a world that's just too big and too fast, too busy, too loud, just overall too much. And we find a way to be in a place of calm and actually thriving as highly sensing people. And I'm your host and high sensory coach, Tammy Goen. I'm so glad to have you here with me as always. And it's really my vision that every highly sensing woman will stop hiding and feeling wrong and playing small. Stop trying to be less sensitive. I hear that so often. Just make me not so sensitive. And come to really honor her amazing, unique skills and talents, and to be able to embrace her sensitive nature and be a gentle yet really strong force in the world. And this has been my anniversary month, my 13th month on Win Win Women. And I've dedicated it to answering all kinds of questions that I usually hear, whether it's through social media or podcasting, guesting on others' shows or my shows, and emails, just things that I hear from people all the time, that either people who are highly sensing and they don't know what to do about it, or they want to understand it more, or sometimes people are wanting to support those who are highly sensing and they really have a lot of questions because there's a lot of misinformation out there. So that's what this month is all about. And I'm choosing things this week that seem to me to be pretty pertinent to the holidays and the hustle and bustle. And before we get started, as usual, I like to have a quote. And what I found today is very simple, but pertinent. And someone, and I don't know who this is, I apologize, ELC initials, said, sometimes you can do too much and end up doing nothing. And I really like that. This is true for everyone, right? If we just get too much on our plate and we're just constantly pushing ourselves and we're just trying to do as much as humanly or inhumanly possible, then we hit a wall. We're just out of energy. We can't do what we're trying to do, or it's like the myth about multitasking, which women are supposed to be better at. But really, multitasking is not anything that allows you to be efficient and really good at every single thing that you're wanting to do. If we focus on one thing at a time, then we can really hone our skills and make something the way we want it to be. And then we move on to the other thing. But if we're trying to do everything all at once, it just really saps us of our energy and our focus. And then we end up not getting the things done that we want. So that's why I appreciated that quote today. Okay, starting in with just our questions. And again, if you are watching this and you have more questions, please just send them in. And even if they're not going to be part of a show, I will certainly respond and answer in the best way that I can. And you can certainly look at previous episodes this month and see some other questions that have come up that I've answered. So starting today, do highly sensitive people have a tendency to take on too many tasks or overwork themselves? So coming from that idea of that quote that I just addressed, we can actually even go beyond what is typical or average for people doing that. There are a lot of people that tend to put too much on their plate and they say yes to too many things and it's just too much, and then they'll hit burnout. With highly sensing people, the thing is that we just tend to hit that place much sooner, and we're a little more likely to hit that place because we just use up our energy, our bandwidth, if you will, more quickly than others because of that fact that we are like the sponge and we pull soak up everything in our environment, in the energy field, in our emotions and other people's emotions. We're soaking all that stuff up all the time. So we're going to hit the limit, hit that wall much sooner. And then it takes time for us to regroup and get back on center. So yes, we can tend toward taking on way too much and overworking ourselves beyond what is typical or what some other non-highly sensing people might be experiencing. So it is really, really important to not only take care of ourselves, have that really solid, sustainable self-care practice, but also to recognize when we're taking on too much and being able to set limits, those boundaries I talk about all the time, and just being able to say, no, I would really like to help you with that, but that one extra task is going to put me over the edge. So I'm going to have to say no, or, can we look at that tomorrow? something like that, so that it's just not adding more and more and more to your plate, because it will become too full and pretty quickly. So question number 2, do HSPs procrastinate or rush to get things done right away? And this isn't a straight across the board answer. There are some of us who do really procrastinate a lot because things are really big and overwhelming, and they can see the potentials for what's going to happen, how much energy it's going to take, and then just not do it, just put it off, put it off, put it off. And then there are some of us who will, so I don't know about rush, but sometimes we'll try to get things done so that we don't have that at the end. And then sometimes if we're doing that, we can again take on too many things at once. And the idea is great, get the stuff done so then you can relax and just enjoy yourself. But if we try to do too many of those things at the beginning or in general, then again, we can end up in that place of depletion. So, could be either you might procrastinate, you might just hurry up and get things done. But again, paying attention to what really resonates for you. How does that feel if you procrastinate and you wait to the last minute? Usually we don't like to do things at the last minute in a hurried way without having that control. I mean, we might do that on our own and say, okay, I'm going to hurry up and get this done. But if something is dumped in our lap and you get, a really short amount of time to do it, and you weren't prepared for that, that tends to be more difficult for us to deal with than average. And it can really feel yucky, really feel uncomfortable if we are pressured and we're not expecting it. But even if we know it's going to happen because we're putting things off, it's still gonna hit us at the end, and you're feeling that urgency, and that usually is very uncomfortable for us. So trying to do things in moderation, it's good for everyone, especially for us, to try to get things done as we go so that there's not too much left at the end and we're not running out of time, but also that we're not trying to get too much done at the beginning. Okay, next question. Can HSPs get overwhelmed at large events like parties and concerts? And this is a pretty common experience for us. This tends to be a yes answer. There are, of course, 30% of us who are extroverted. So those folks, and I say those because I am introverted. So those who are extroverted tend to put themselves out more and want to do more and engage with people more. And so they might actually, at least on the surface, really enjoy a social event, a party, a concert, etc. Maybe they see that as more enticing than an introvert, but ultimately it does tend to wear on us if we are around lots and lots of energy, lots of noise, lots of changing environment, lights and temperature and all kinds of different things that happen when we're in big groups. That tends to be overwhelming for all of us, even the extroverts. And the piece about being extroverted and putting yourself out there more is that you are likely to hit that wall, not be prepared, and then really, really crash and feel confused about it or guilty about it or frustrated because you wanted to do these things and they're really fun for you, but you don't have that bandwidth that the average person might, because again, you're still having all of that input coming in and you're making a lot of meaning out of it and you're processing it all, and it's going to be a lot. But typically, at least for those of us who are introverted, those 70% or so, and sometimes for the extroverts as well, yeah, we can get really overwhelmed at the big events. And so if you have big parties coming for the holidays, if you are planning a really big event with family, that can be overwhelming. I know I'm preparing myself this time for many, many more people than I'm used to for Christmas dinner, because of all of the people that are coming, and then spouses and parents, and it's just going to be a much bigger group than I'm used to. So I'm already prepared for that in terms of probably needing to take some time away. And I've already talked with my sister about that, and she knows that. She said, oh, if you disappear, then I know what's up, and that's fine. So I'll probably be taking my very highly sensing nephew with me, and we'll just go for a walk, or maybe I'll go up to the room and just read for a bit or do something to separate from all of that, what feels to me like chaos, just all of that energy, all of the excitement, all positive stuff, but a lot. So that is very, very common. So it's important for us to honor that and recognize that sometimes people can get frustrated with us for that. Say, how can you keep canceling on me? Or, we go out to do something and then you leave early, or whatever their experience is, they get frustrated. And maybe they even stop asking you because they don't like hearing you say no or cancel at the last minute, or again, leave early. So having a conversation with people to let them understand what that's like for you to be in these environments with a lot going on and how quickly it can make you depleted, and helping them to understand how they can help you by being a little more patient and understanding, but also orchestrating the situation in a way that is workable for you, even if that means, okay, yes, I'm going to go. It sounds really great, but I might need to leave partway through, go out, have my own time, decompress, and then come back. Something like that, but making people aware of that so they don't get frustrated or confused and not want to have you there anymore. And in a family environment, same thing. Just letting people know, it's getting a lot for me. I'm just going to go walk around the block. I'm going to go just, run. Does anybody need, any errands run? That's a good time to do that. Like, I'll do that. So then you're by yourself in the car and you just go do your thing. So very, very common experience for us, and something to be very aware of as we're heading into, we're in the holiday season now. We're just a week away now from the big day if you celebrate Christmas. So, okay, next question. Do HSPs experience burnout sooner or more intensely? And so yes, kind of following on the heels of all of the stuff I've been talking about so far, we do tend to get to that place of overwhelm much sooner, again, because we're pulling all that stuff in, making a big deal of everything, giving meaning to so much. And then tends to be harder for us to let go of those things once even if it's positive. So if it's something's really negative, we'll hang on to it and overthink and have that affecting us for a while. But even if it's positive, if you go to a party or you do something and it was super fun and you get home, for some people, they can just let that go like that and drop off to sleep or do something else and not even think about it anymore. But we tend to continue processing things after the fact. And so even if it's a great event, we need that downtime once we return home or once we're done with whatever that event is, so that we can continue processing and then work it through and then release it, because it doesn't just happen right away automatically for us. So being aware of that, and that will lead to burnout or to just being totally overwhelmed. And whether that's in a work environment or a social environment or things that we expect of ourselves, and we just get to that point and we just can't do it anymore, and we top out and we crash. So that is something that happens much more easily and more frequently for us, and sooner. So another question, is it helpful for HSPs to use a daily planner to stay on track? Yes. I always recommend this. Some kind of scheduler that you can really see easily and pay attention to and monitor, whether that's on your phone or I find actually a pretty high percentage of HSPs really still like the tactile piece, and they like the control, and whatever other reasons tend to do things a little more old school and still have paper planners or schedules. That's something interesting to me that I've realized in the past few years that is pretty common. But whatever you use for your schedule, making sure that you do have everything very well planned out so there are no surprises. But then also within that schedule, make sure that you physically schedule in, give them little blocks, 30 minutes, an hour, whatever it is, for your downtime, for your break time, 10 minutes every hour, or every couple hours you have a half hour, or something that allows you to slow down, decompress, recharge, and then continue forward. And then you'll be much more efficient throughout the rest of the day, rather than saying, I'm going to just stick it out. And then, wow, you get to the end of the day and you crash. And then you can't do any social engagements because you just don't have that energy left. And so that burnout happens, super quickly, as I was just mentioning. So if we have a planner that we can actually say, oh, this is where I make sure I take my hour, a full hour for my lunch. And I'm not doing a working lunch. I'm just eating, maybe reading, or maybe I eat and then I go for a walk, or something that helps you to decompress. And then again, being able to look at your planner at the beginning of the day and say, oh, what does this look like? And you can anticipate your energy output that's going to be needed for your schedule. And then if things come up, you know, if someone says, oh, can you do this by the end of the day, you can be aware of what's on your planner and say, you know, actually, no, I'm not going to do that well if I throw one more thing on my list. And so we are aware of what the day looks like. We can say yay or nay for things that might pop up, but we can also be aware that, okay, there's a lot going on, say between 1 and 4 today. I need to be prepared for that, do some deep breathing before that happens, or go make sure my walk at lunchtime is extra good and I really pay attention to that so that I have some more energy for that time. And then if it's possible, even though it's a chunk of time, say, is there a way that I can factor in at least 10 or 15 minutes in between all of these things so that I can, again, decompress, regroup, and then you'll be much more on for the rest of the day. So yeah, definitely using a planner. Don't try to just wing it and see what happens. Look at your phone every once in a while if that's what your schedule is. Be really clear about what your schedule is and anticipate so that nothing surprises you and you say, oh, I haven't even looked at my schedule today. And you look and you're like, oh my gosh, I have so much going on this afternoon. And now I'm kind of panicky. Make sure you do know what's going on and use that schedule or that planner to your advantage. Okay, so here's one that's really good for like what I was just saying about, you know, things you're not aware of or planning on in your schedule. One question that came in, how do HSPs deal with surprises? So I've alluded to this a little bit already, but we tend to have a little more of a challenge with things that we're not prepared for. So surprises can be that way, even if they're positive. I know some people who the last thing that they would ever want would be a surprise party, even though that sounds amazingly fun, you know, in one way. If they're not prepared and suddenly there's a whole bunch of people that show up at their house or wherever they're going and like, you know, surprise, and this is really great and everyone's supporting you and loving you. But if you're not prepared, that can be a lot. So sometimes we can shut down if we have surprises. Sometimes we can just not be ourselves and maybe be irritable, frustrated, just be like completely out of our element and not being who we really are and would want to be in that situation if we had had time to prepare. So surprises can be a bit challenging. If you're going to be giving a surprise of some kind, whatever that is, to a highly sensing person, maybe think about ways to make it very calm, very inobtrusive. Just make it not a huge ordeal, you know, event, something that's manageable if it's a surprise, and that'll usually be accepted a little bit more easily for those of us who are highly sensing, because it really can be a bit of a shocker. And then we tend to have expectations of ourselves and we think, oh, okay, this is happening, so I have to act this way, be this way, do this, take care of all these people that are here, all of that kind of stuff. So those are the ways that we tend to respond sometimes to those surprises. So usually we do like to be able to plan and prepare. All right, another question that's come in. What are some things that HSPs can focus on when they get overwhelmed? And how can they recover from burnout? So I'll take a little bit of time. We'll kind of wind things down with this last bit, because it's more than just a minute or two of an answer. So what are some things that we can focus on when we get overwhelmed? So first off, acknowledging that that's the way we process things. We can get overwhelmed easily, and to honor that and not feel guilty, not get frustrated, just recognize, oh, wow, let me look at my schedule. Let me look at what I've done already today. Yes, I've done a lot. Okay, I'm going to honor that and recognize that it makes sense that I would be feeling overwhelmed right now, or just that I'm completely out of energy and I want to just shut down. Okay, I get it. This is why I'm wired this way, and make that okay, and not try to just push through it anyway, or to, you know, just feel so badly about yourself because you can't manage that. So once you can be in that place, then some of the things that help are some that I've already mentioned today. Go for a walk, spend some time in nature, get away from whatever is going on, find a little place that's just for you, and then use all those tools that are in your toolbox that you have so far for some really, really deep breathing, especially with the exhale being a little longer than the inhale. So it tells our body, oh, there's no problem. Everything's okay. We can step out of that fight or flight mode and get into that rest, digest, regroup, recover. So the breathing is really, really impactful. And then there are things like meditation or yoga or just sitting and paying attention to what's in your environment, one thing at a time, and just being focused and in the moment. Anything that you can do that is in the moment, that is present focused, will help immensely, because that means if we're focused on what's happening now, or I say, I'm going to pay attention to the sounds of everything in the room one at a time. When you're doing that, you can no longer be locked in the past and remembering what's already happened, whether it was good or bad, or worrying about what's in the future, that anything that hasn't come yet. Those are the things that keep us out of the present. So when we are in the moment, we're not paying attention to those things. And then again, our body gets to go, oh, everything's okay. It's just this moment. No problem. I'm good. And then you can be in that relaxed state and recharging so that you can go forward again. Other things that are really good for being overwhelmed are just checking in with your body and seeing what is happening physically within your body. You know, are your shoulders super tight and up to your ears? Is your jaw really tight? Is your belly, you know, just kind of all roiling around or clenched? Whatever you're experiencing, first paying attention, doing kind of a body scan, seeing what is happening, and then noticing it and seeing if anything comes up for us, like, oh, my jaw is super tight. How might I release that? And then think about what you can do to get that to release. Or, wow, yeah, I've got so much tension around in my in my belly, or my heart area feels just really, really tense and dense. What would help me right now? Some of the breathing maybe, or doing a visualization exercise for letting that release. All of the tools that you have probably built up along the journey, if you've come along with me for a while, or if you've read or listened to people talking about things to do for highly sensing people, all of those tools, all of the things that are helping us to calm our nervous system. So sometimes reading is really good, as long as we're not reading anything that's going to trigger us. Sometimes watching really inspiring, happy videos or presentations, TED Talks, things like that, that'll, oh, okay, this is really good. I'm not worried about anything, and this helps me feel better. Watching slideshows of nature if you can't be outside, things that will just take you away and then calm that nervous system. And some people really like yoga and different types of exercise to move through the emotions and get things to kind of stabilize. If that works for you, that's great. Sometimes it's that quiet time of being present, but those movement experiences are great. Turn on your favorite music and dance around your house. And that might sound really weird for some people, or you don't want anybody to be seeing you, so maybe you go into your own room, but just listen to that music and move as your body wants to move to that music. Sing, do something that, you know, allows all of the pent up energy, all of the emotions to release. Anything that can keep you in the moment and help you to feel better, to raise your vibration. All of those things are really helpful when you're feeling overwhelmed. And as I mentioned before, some of the things for trying to, you know, keep yourself from getting to that place of overwhelm is a lot of that scheduling and the preparing, and what we tell ourselves can really help us to not get as overwhelmed, especially when it's paying attention to expectations and boundaries, and allowing us, honoring ourselves for what our experience is and allowing that to be okay. And then say, okay, I'm going to take this time. This is what I'm going to do to feel better, because these things work for me. And they might be some things that you like and some things that you don't, and other things people like and they just don't work for you. That's totally fine. Whatever works for you, whatever resonates. And then these same things can help us to recover from burnout. If we are burned out, we're completely overwhelmed, and we realize we have no energy left, find the things that are going to allow you to be calm and centered, and then eventually recharge. So once you've calmed that nervous system and you've allowed yourself to just be and release all of the tension and the emotions, and then just do the breathing and the meditating, those things that help you calm, and then say, okay, now that I'm feeling it in a place of calm and being more centered, what do I need to do to increase my energy again, to fill that bucket of energy reserves? What's going to help me with that? And some of the things might be the same, watching inspirational videos or movies, or listening to podcasts, something that's going to give you feel good vibes and make you feel like you're adding more to your energy bucket because it uplifts you. Or for some people, that's mild, moderate, maybe energy. Walking out in nature is going to refuel once you're in that place of calm. That refuels you and gets you a little more energized. Great. If it's reading something that's inspirational, if it's going and visiting someone or talking with someone on the phone that's really supportive to you, and then you can have nice quality conversations with, those can really help us to move forward and feeling more energized and engaged and moving past that place of burnout. So all of those tools can be helpful depending on what it is you're wanting, if you're needing to decompress or if you're needing to recharge. And a lot of those can be the same, but just finding what those keys are for you and making sure that you give yourself that time to both recenter and then recharge, refill your bucket so that you have that energy to work with. And if you haven't had enough time to do that, adding one more thing to your plate or saying yes when you really don't want to do something, that's just going to hold you in that place of burnout or overwhelm and not allow you to move forward. So again, being aware and honoring, I'm in a place I really need to recharge for a while today before I can say yes to anything new. And so that's a little more challenging during the holiday season because there's all of these things that are coming up all at once, and things that we are having to do. Maybe even you're focused on year-end type things because we're so close to that, and you're trying to get things done, and then you're just feeling like you can't do much anymore. And even though it seems like, well, I have to spend the time doing these things and get them done, so I have to ignore my body's needs, you're going to get to a place where that you're going to crash and you're not going to be able to do those things, or at least do them well. So being able to take the step back and go, oh yeah, I have so much on my plate. There's so many things that are due or that I have to do in the next week. And in order to do all of those things, I have to take care of me. I have to decompress. I have to spend that time. So hopefully you'll be motivated to listen to your needs and honor those, and as well as getting those things done and trying not to get it all done at once, and just be along for the ride and recognize that this is us, this is me, this is you, the way we're wired, and the things that we need that processing time, we need the downtime and time to recharge, we need to control our environment when we can, so it's not affecting us so much. All of those things we need to really honor so that we can be the us that we want to be. Okay, well, hopefully that gives you some thoughts, some ideas as you're going forward in this kind of crazy, busy season coming to an end fairly soon. But then we have New Year's, and then we can kind of shift and regroup. But for now, hopefully that gives you some ideas going forward. And as always, it's great to have you here. Thank you so much for joining me. And do reach out if you have more questions, if you just want to chat, if you have some concerns about your situation and you don't know what to do because of the sensitivity piece, do reach out and we can chat, no charge, just connect and see if I can help you, if I can give you some ideas, if there's something you haven't thought of. So happy holidays, whatever it is that you're celebrating. And I look forward to seeing you actually in the new year. So have a great week next week, and we will see you later.